Hello and welcome to the Today's Homeowner Weekly podcast. We're here to help you with the challenges we all face as homeowners. I'm Danny Lipford.
And I'm Joe Truini. And each week, Danny and I are here on the podcast to answer any and all home improvement questions.
And we want to hear from you. Send us your questions or comments at todayshomeowner.com/podcast.
Okay, Danny, let's get started.
Today's Homeowner podcast is brought to you by the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. This week, we're going to look at what's involved in building a ramp into one of your entryways. Now, if you're in a wheelchair, that's, of course, you have to have that. If you're not in a wheelchair, people are finding that it's very convenient, a lot easier just to slowly walk up a ramp. But if it's starting to show a little deterioration and a little rot, it is time to do something quick. We work with a listener on one of the things that they need to do fairly quickly.
Yeah, the other important thing is how steep is the ramp, because if it's too short and too high on one end, it could be very difficult.
It shocks everybody, especially when you're talking about, a 24-inch rise, a 24-inch space from the floor down to the ground. That's not very much, but when you think that has to be 24 feet long, all of a sudden that small project's turned into a pretty large one, but extremely important, especially if you're physically challenged a bit in walking or having to use a wheelchair or walker.
And we'll also talk to a homeowner who wants to know, can he tile over existing tile? And you can under certain conditions, and we'll talk about that coming up.
Also, I'm so happy to be able to talk with the winners of the Win Danny and the Crew contest for this year. These are some new friends of mine, Martine and Kent from Marietta, Georgia. What a great time we had. They were just such great great participants in this overall project, and it turned out great. That show's going to be coming up soon, and you'll be able to hear us talk with them today.
And I'll share a simple solution how to convert empty six-pack containers, the cardboard kind that you get with beer bottles or soda bottles, how to convert them into a really creative storage idea.
Right now, we want to go to California. Thomas is on the line with us. Thomas, welcome to the show. Tell us what's going on there.
Well, right now we're having some good weather.
Good.
So we're expecting a storm.
Oh, boy.
Anyway, I'm in the Central Valley of California, lower Sierra Nevada. I've got a ramp that someone installed at his home way back when, and over the years, moisture took over and pretty much demolished it. So I was looking to replace that with some 2x6s to a spread of 4 feet, and not sure the wood or the nails to use to secure it.
Okay. All right. Well, let's step back a little bit. Now, from the ground to the actual level of the floor, approximately how tall is that?
38 inches.
Okay. Just for information-wise, that ramp actually should be on a 1 in 12 pitch, which means, and it's shocking when you think of that, 38 inches would equate to a ramp that needs to be 38 feet long. Now,
well, it's not that long.
Right. Well, I mean, that's when you're building one, as a contractor, and it's recommended, because of the, chairs being able to tilt over and things like that. But if you already have it in place there, now, now the framing under it. Now, I saw the pictures here where you had plywood that looked deteriorated, but the wood under it. Do you have any idea of the condition of that wood under the ramp?
Except for the one area where it's exposed. Everything else looks pretty good.
Okay. And you're thinking of using are you thinking about going back with plywood, or are you thinking of using some kind of other material for the actual ramp surface?
Some other material, only because it actually employs right now with the existing plywood 2 4x8s tandem together. And at the entrance, you don't quite see there. It goes into a enclosed hardwood flooring that was installed who knows when, but it was.
Uh-huh.
And it probably has 2x6s as well.
Okay. Well, the framing on it, if you're going to use plywood like that, you need to be on at least 16-inch centers. So your spacing between the framing members under it need to be 16. It should be pressure-treated wood, and all of that should be secured really, really well. And then if you use plywood on top, you would want to use treated plywood, and I would recommend 3/4-inch treated plywood.
Okay.
Or the most common type of ramp is where they use what they call a 5/4 by 6, which is actually a treated wood, has a radius edge on it. It's 1 inch thick and 5.5 inches wide. A very most common material used for deck surfaces these days, as well as ramps. And several things there. It's fairly inexpensive, but it also provides a little bit of traction, whether you're walking up it or in a wheelchair. A little bit of traction in going up in there, because the plywood's got to get incredibly slick sometimes when it gets wet.
I'm sure.
Yeah. One other thing that I saw recently done, and I thought it was pretty clever, is they actually used roll roofing. Now, roll roofing is a really low-cost and seldom used roll roofing material that has a surface like asphalt shingles, but smooth. And it has just enough grit that you can put that down over it. It helps protect the wood, but also provides, it's almost like a little mat, like a little runner that you would have.
No, I know what it is.
Yeah, it's
I'm familiar with the roll roofing there.
Okay, so it's 3 foot wide, and your deck, your ramp being 4 foot wide gives you 6 inches on each side.
Right.
So it's kind of a nice, decent look, skid resistant, and will help protect the wood. So a couple different ways to go on that. Certainly galvanized or coated nail screws are even better on anything that's being used, and that should tighten everything up and provide a pretty safe walking space there.
Well, good. I hadn't thought about the roll roofing because that does provide a better traction.
Yeah, it works great, and the homeowners that I saw using it, they kind of just happened to have some and tried it, and they said it worked perfect. So they because they did slip and fall a couple times on some of the wet wood, since it's in a very shaded area, and the mold and mildew creates a real slick surface. So hopefully we've been able to help you with that, Thomas, and best of luck on rebuilding that ramp.
Just a quick question there.
Certainly.
I know that one of your sponsors is Home Depot there. Is that treated plywood available at Home Depot?
Yeah, it certainly is. Yeah, at all of their stores, both 1/2 inch and 3/4. Again, I would recommend 3/4.
I appreciate that, Danny, and I still watch your shows on Sunday.
Good. Well, I appreciate that. We got a lot of new ones coming out, and a brand new season will be coming up in September. So we appreciate you tuning in.
Thank you so much for your hints, and I really appreciate that. It really give me a little better insight as to how to repair this. Maybe plywood is a better way to go and it'd be quicker.
Yeah, there you go. Well, great. Glad we were able to help you on that, Thomas. And, boy, I tell you, Joe, when you're going in and out of a place like that, you see a lot of people with steps that aren't up to par. Right. Here's a ramp that your foot could go through. Those are pretty high priority items to take care of.
Yeah, absolutely. And plywood definitely makes the best surface for rolling, a wheelchair or even walking, makes it a lot smoother. But it's going to rot out quicker. So if he's going to use treated plywood, absolutely prime the underside.
Yes,
paint it, prime it, do it, or stain it, whatever you're doing to the top surface. Do the same to the bottom surface. Try to have it last as long as possible, and then coat the top surface. Use abrasive strips. You can buy these peel and stick abrasive strips. But beyond that, he's really violating the ADA code for ramps. I mean, 38, 40 inches high, that ramp, his looked like it was only 16 feet long. The maximum ramp slope at 1 to 12, which you recommended, which is right, 30 inches high would have to be 30 feet long.
Right, I know it.
Almost 40 inches high.
Right,
so you say, he's going to be like a 40-foot ramp. So,
right, I know it. And
because you don't want it so short and steep.
Right. Well, the thing is, and he didn't mention whether or not he was in a wheelchair or not, but if you've ever, my brother was in a wheelchair for many years, and you start going up a ramp in that chair, and it is very uncomfortable when your head starts going back a little bit like that, as if your feet's going to come up now on a steep ramp like that. Now, he was in an electric wheelchair, so it was so darn heavy, it was not going to tip over no matter what. But in a lot of those chairs that are designed to be very, very lightweight, that's a real serious consideration in making sure that it's that long. And you know what? I built hundreds of them. And, you can go out, have a landing, turn, go down, have a landing, and you can kind of make it look a little softer than just this big ramp, like a Evel Knievel ramp.
Looks like Evel Knievel built it, right? I was thinking this.
So we might have to
trying to get across the canyon.
Yeah, exactly. Go across the canyon. Right now it's time for our Best New Product segment, brought to you by the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. Radon is a naturally occurring radioactive gas that is found in most buildings at varying levels. It's invisible. It's found pretty much everywhere, and it fluctuates daily. Now, at higher levels, radon can can cause a lot of serious health concerns. So it's really important to know if you're exposed to it and need to measure it daily. The Wave Smart Radon Detector by Airthings will allow you to do just that. Once you install it, you simply wave your hand in front of the detector and the light ring will glow indicating your radon levels. Green is low. Yellow is a warning, and certainly red means danger. You need to do something quickly. It also provides detailed information about radon temperature and humidity levels right on your phone via a Bluetooth connectivity. Now, this allows you to view daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly measurements in the free mobile app and use that data to take the necessary steps to protect your home and loved ones. Now, for more information on the Wave Smart Radon Detector by Airthings, log on to HomeDepot.com. Boy, over the years,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. It's a great way. Once again, that's one of the things we like to bring you in. We find out about these products that are just hitting the market, and we want to share them with you because so many times they are different products that are designed to solve common problems. And monitoring radon, I remember when I had an inspection business years ago before I sold it, you'd have to go in and put these little bitty charcoal canisters. It looked like one of those smokeless tobacco cans, and you put it there and you open it up and you leave it there for 3 or 4 days. Then you had to come back and pick it up, put it in an envelope, and send it off. Now, all of this while someone's trying to decide if they're going to buy a house or not. So it was such an antiquated way of getting that information. Now you can plug this right up and be able to find out exactly what's going on. And some people say, well, radon's not a big deal around here. It's really a big deal almost everywhere in the country. It used to be seemingly isolated to certain areas, but it is pretty much all over. So great way to monitor it and figure out exactly what to do next.
Right, and it's typically in the lowest levels of your home, meaning basement or crawl space. And fortunately, the fix, even if you have relatively high levels of radon, you just ventilate it is really all you need to do.
Yeah.
So, but it's good to know what the level is, and this certainly seems like this Wave Smart detector certainly seems like an easy way to keep track of that.
Yeah, foolproof. Okay, we're going to head down and see if we can help Buddy down in Florida. Buddy, welcome to the show. I understand you're talking about some flooring here and different ways of putting some tile over new tile. Tell us your intention there.
What I'm planning on doing, Danny, I bought a house 3 years ago, and I'm not happy with the tile floor that's on there now. I would like to save some money by just tiling over the old tile if it's all possible. My problem is I can't find anybody down here to do it if it is possible.
Okay.
Well, do you have any suggestions?
Well, let's see. I'm looking at a picture of your floor now, and is it on a concrete slab?
Yes, it is.
Okay, good. Well, you can put the flooring right on top of the existing with the proper prep. Overall, does it seem like the floor is fairly flat and smooth?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
I've checked most of the floor, and I only have one spot.
Okay, good. And then does this extend on into your kitchen?
It extends all over the house.
Okay. Well, some of the problems you run into is like where your tile, when you put tile on top of tile, you can actually trap your dishwasher in place. Modifications have to be made on that. Sometimes, it might make a difference in how your molding looks, where you're taking away some of the look of the molding, but you're talking about 1/2 to 5/8 of an inch with normal situations that you would be encroaching on that. But I'll tell you what, the guy that can answer that question is Joe Truini. He wrote a fantastic book about tile and all kinds of scenario. Joe, how would you think Buddy needs to approach this situation?
Yeah, Buddy, this is a little tricky one because I'm looking at the photograph and the tile looks really nice from the photograph. It looks like it was professionally installed. All the grout joints are lined up beautifully. It's a nice large tile, a nice color. But if you want to change it and you have it throughout your whole house, change it mean go over it or chop it out, and certainly going over it would be easier. It's going to be a pretty expensive job. That's a lot of tile to put down, and the prep work's going to be important, as Danny mentioned. But if the question is, can you do that? Yeah, you certainly can, and there are a couple of concerns that Danny mentioned as far as raising the height of the floor. But what exactly about this floor do you not like? Is it just the color? I mean, it looks fine in the photograph, but I don't know what the true color is.
Well, it's got mismatched tiles throughout. It used to be an illegal grow house. And
okay.
So they channeled through the tile, and somebody's filled it in and replaced the tile with different colored tiles.
Oh, I see.
And I'm also
Yeah.
redoing my kitchen, so all the kitchen cabinets are recessed into the tile.
Well, I mean, you could certainly, you're going to have to just call a contractor. Tile contractors can do this. You just have to find one that's willing to take on the job. They might be challenged only by the size of it, but if you keep calling, you'll find the right guy.
But also, I would check out custombuildingproducts.com. They're one of our partners, and they have. If you decide to do it yourself, and if you hire it done, you'll want to make sure they're doing it right. There are a couple different processes here. One, you might use a floor leveling compound that you pour out over it that'll fill in all of the grout joints and get a nice smooth area there. It's just kind of a self-leveling that works really well. Then you also have a primer often that you'll put on the actual tile, which is a very inexpensive and easy to apply type of coating. So you might try those points, and certainly check with our folks there at custombuildingproducts.com, and they've got a lot of videos to show you exactly how to do what you're looking to do.
Thank you very much, Dan.
Okay, our pleasure, and best of luck to you, buddy, on that. Joe. That is a heck of a large project Buddy's about to tackle there, but that's okay. When you have a project like that, you just take it a step at a time, and if you run into something, that's what we're here for, to help you with any of those challenges that you might have. You know, a lot of the things that we're able to share with you over the years, a lot of contests, a lot of things that we're able to do, and one of the most popular contests we do every year is Win Danny and His Crew. We had almost 6,000 entries from all over the country. Very tough decision to decide on exactly which project we're going to take on, but boy, did we hit a home run in Marietta, Georgia, and with us right now, the winner of the Win Danny contest, Martine and Kent. Hey guys, how you doing?
Hi, good.
Great, Danny. How are you?
Well, I know that it was a whirlwind. We rolled in there. You weren't sure what to expect, and then we kind of took over the whole downstairs area while we renovated the basement. But, Martine, I'll have to say, you elbowed me out of the way so much to grab the nail gun, to grab the drywall trowel. We still are talking about the legend, Martine.
I have learned a lot from you, Danny.
Well, what about the space? Are you enjoying the space? Just so that I can tell our listeners a little about it, Martine is a very active do-it-yourselfer, and she had a space downstairs, as many people do. It was an unfinished basement, and she had her little workshop down there and a lot of things stored down there, but it just wasn't very presentable. And when you have a situation that you can really revamp an area like that, regardless of its use, but you're able to add these elements that the next person that buys the house can say, hey, this would be a great media room or a bedroom or whatever. So we wanted to bring it up to that level. So we waterproofed the walls. We put some furring strips there, as well as put some of the purple XP drywall from our friends at National Gypsum. And within just 3 or 4 long days, we made a big, big difference. Do you feel a little better about going down in there and taking care of a few things, Martine?
Absolutely. Actually, my office is right next door to the storage space, and throughout the day, I am still going there and opening the door and looking at it, and really, I can't believe what I'm seeing again. The space is just changed so much. I really love it. Mm-hmm.
Now, Kent, I'm sure now this has inspired you to roll up your sleeves and just take care.
No.
See what happens, Danny? She elbow you out of the way.
Yeah.
See what I'm living with it. So I get elbowed all the time.
Well, I'll have to say, you guys were great sports. We just screened the episode that'll be airing this weekend, actually. And how cool was that for you guys to be such good sports, to pick on each other like that, back and forth, and all the fun we had. I mean, in the screening room, there was about 12 of us there. We laughed and laughed, all in a good way, not laughing at anybody, but laughing at the whole week. You're going to really, I think, enjoy seeing that episode.
We had a great
Danny,
time.
pick at each other. This is not something we were doing for the show. This is what happens every day here.
Also, I was glad we were able to get Justin involved. Your son, I saw him show up a little bit in the show there. And but what I'm really happy about, though, is it can really show someone that has an unfinished basement. Inevitably, they're thinking about doing something to make it more functional. And then we kind of went step by step in showing how you can completely change it, especially when you put it in perspective of only 3 or 4 days' work to have that type of change. I'm really pretty proud of the overall project.
Yeah, and from my perspective too, it was finished so well that what we did is we took down some artwork and put it up there, and literally in a day's time you could put a bed in there or make it a study of some sort, and it would look wonderful.
Well, fortunately, your house, your townhome, was built very, very well and allowed us to be able to implement all of the finished parts that we did. But anyway, we just wanted to get you on the air and say thanks again for being wonderful, wonderful hosts for us there. And you made us laugh and made us really appreciate doing what we do every single week.
Well, thank you to you and your crew. You really did a great job, and it was a lot of fun having you here.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm still working on my French. I
was just going to ask you, yes.
Yeah.
Do you remember today's homeowner? Do you remember what it is?
I'll try it just to amuse you. But le propriétaire déjà doué. See, she's laughing.
She's laughing, Danny.
Okay.
Danny, I am disappointed.
Okay, you say it.
That's what I would say.
You go ahead and say homeowner of today, which in French, I guess you reverse it. So you say it to show how badly I just butchered up the phrase.
Le propriétaire d'aujourd'hui.
Sound the same to me.
And me too, Danny. I'm West Virginia.
Oh, okay. Well, guys, thanks again. I certainly look forward. Certainly hope our paths cross again. And if there's any little questions or anything we can do to help you there, we're always here for you.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Okay, have a great weekend.
You
Okay,
too.
okay, bye now.
That must have been a fun shoot.
That's the way it was all the time. I mean, really, she says, I'm doing this one. I said, you won the contest. You could just sit over there and have iced tea and watch it. She said, oh, no, I want to learn. And but the French show, you need to see that episode now. And so go to todayshomeowner.com, find out exactly where you can see it in your area, because we were laughing out loud because those two cutting up and picking on each other was some classic television right there.
And I like the way you said that she was elbowing you out of the way, as if that's something new, that you don't continuously have women elbowing you out of.
I know it.
And he has a wife and 3 daughters. He's been elbowed out of the way quite a few times.
But she was a very petite lady, but just would not. She was fearless. I mean, here I had a 3/4-inch piece of plywood. I had 4 lines popped on it, and so I cut the first one. She grabbed that saw and went right down the middle. There was no waffling or anything. Right down the middle of it, and then she kind of looks over at me like, and then grabbing the nail gun, and then grabbing the sander, and then she walks up to the drywall guy, and knocks on his shoulder. Show me how. And so anyway, we love these experiences. For those of you that did not win the Win Danny, we'll be doing it again. So you never know when your name will be selected and your project will be selected. So keep that in mind. Right now, let's see if we can help Joel, who's up in Maine. He's got a little mildew issue there. Joel, welcome to the show.
Hi, Danny. How are you?
Hey, we're doing great. What's going on there? You sound a little frustrated with this email I got from you.
Yeah, I've got a wraparound porch, and the overhang on the porch, I'd like to paint it, but I have some mildew showing through, and I just want to make sure I go through the right steps to get the mildew killed, if possible, and get a coat of primer or paint over the top of it so I can keep the mold from coming through.
Okay. So many times when you have mold or mildew, it's a result of, it's just a moist area. But if there's not enough millage on the wood, millage of paint, thickness of paint, the mildew can work its way through there. Here's what I don't know, we don't want to be called here in Mobile, Alabama, the mildew capital of the world, but we have our share of it, as does just about everybody in the country battling with it. And one of the things that I really believe in is the mildewcide additive that you add to paint. Matter of fact, I ordered 25 gallons of paint yesterday, and every gallon of that paint is going to have M1 additive in that, because my house I'm in now, 27 years, again, in this very tough, very humid climate, I went 26 years without painting my house, and I only pressure washed it once during that time. And so it works really, really well. So what I would do is certainly clean the porch, clean the surface that you're going to paint really well. And you could use a couple different things there. Either one of these work well that the professional painters use. One is called Jomax, Jomax. Another one is TSP. which is trisodium phosphate. Just a really good cleaner. Follow the instructions, including the safety precautions, and then clean it really well, allow it to dry, and then I would put a good bonding primer, an exterior bonding primer. And you know what, Joel? I would put the M1 in the primer as well. And that way you're starting off with every drop of paint you put on there is you're giving it the best resistance to mold and mildew growth. And then, I know this sounds overkill, but you put one coat on, then you put your finish coat on. Go ahead and put that third coat on. It'll go so quick, it'll require very little paint, but again, you're putting a little more millage there to protect you from the mold and mildew.
Okay, and then you're recommending to add the M1 to the one coat of primer, then the 2 coats of top coat as well?
Right, and your top coat should be an exterior acrylic latex, and I would certainly recommend getting a good grade of paint. Don't get the bottom basement stuff because it's just not going to work well. But yeah, if you do that, I seriously doubt you'll have a mildew problem ever on that.
Outstanding. Thank you very much.
Good. Our pleasure. Good to have a great weekend looking overhead painting like that. That's no fun at all. Joe, that's one of the things I often wonder, when we're out doing a little electrical work. How do those electricians or the painters that are painting a lot of ceilings and overhead, how do they keep their hands up in the air for that long? That's, I guess you form special muscles that allow you to do that kind of thing.
You do. Not to mention the crick in your neck.
Yeah.
That's the thing that gets me, bending your neck. But yeah, Joel had sent along a photograph, and I had never seen that much mold on
I know it.
It was basically 100%. It wasn't that thick. It was very light surface, but it was on the entire roof. So that's going to be a lot of scrubbing. I suspect whoever installed this roof did not back prime or paint the top, so there's moisture coming down into the top surface of that board and then working its way through, and that's going to be a challenge.
Yeah.
But I think the advice you offered is about as good as you can do without taking down all that wood.
Right. And if you're tired of doing it, do it this way. You may get 10 or 12 years out of it. It really is.
Right.
The millage is so important on that. Right now, we wanted to go right to Joe with this week's simple solution.
Okay, Danny, here's how to reuse and recycle 6-pack containers. We're talking about the cardboard ones that beer typically come in. Some soda still comes in. Soda bottles come in the 6-pack cardboard. And you can use it for storing in your garage or workshop spray cans. It's a perfect size for spray paint cans, spray cans of lubricant, that kind of thing. WD-40 fits in there perfectly. And what you do is you take the container after it's empty, and rather than toss it out, you can reuse it, but first reinforce it with either packing tape or duct tape, because you want it to last a little longer. You can be sliding it on and off of shelves. I have one that I think they first did this maybe 3 years ago, and it's still holding up great. But in any case, so you just wrap the sides and the bottom with some duct tape or packing tape, and then that'll make it last a lot longer. And you put in 6 little cans, and I actually have 2 of them, so I have storage for 12. Slide it up. I have it up on top of a tool chest, so it's out of the way. And now when you grab it, you're not searching for like one can in a box of cans or on a shelf. You pull it out and you can very quickly look through and find the one you need. So try that next time you have a leftover 6-pack container and try using it for storage.
Instead of throwing all of those away, you can take your razor knife and kind of shape it, cut it down, to where it's sufficient for that. So great way to go. Another simple solution, and you can check out a lot more of them by going to todayshomeowner.com/simple solutions. Okay, now it's time for our podcast question of the week. We want to encourage you to send us a podcast question by going to todayshomeowner.com/podcast. This one's from Greg that says, I've recently painted my laminate countertops. I started with sanding, then 2 coats of primer, then 4 coats of dark brown Behr interior paint, and finished with 3 coats of Minwax Polyacrylic with sanding in between all coats. This countertop must be 2 inches thick there just in the finish. It's only been 24 hours after the last coat of polyacrylic, but I noticed that if I'm washing my hands at the sink and get any water on the counter, it creates white circle under the water. I clean it up and it eventually disappears after it dries. Why is this doing this? And will it stop after the finish has cured? What are you thinking on this one, Joe?
Yeah, the polyacrylic is essentially water-based polyurethane, And he's saying that so the white circles under the water, I'm not sure what that means. I think he means there's white circles in the clear coat finish.
Right. Mm-hmm.
In any case, yeah, if it's not fully cured, will it stop after the finish is cured? Well, I'm not sure why he's washing anything near this. You have to absolutely let it cure. But yeah, if this finish, the polyurethane, or in this case, the polyacrylic finish is still not completely 100% cured, meaning hard, it will absorb moisture, and that's probably what's happening. And those white rings should disappear once it dries out. But don't stay away from this. Don't put any water on it. Don't lay anything on it like a dish towel or something like that, because it can make an impression. Because although it may feel dry to the touch, technically it's still soft.
Yeah.
If you dig your fingernail into it, you'd be able to scratch it.
And it may not seem like it would make any effect whatsoever on it, but blowing a fan on it, even just a small box fan or
absolutely.
any kind of fan, just to kind of step up the curing process. It's dry. It needs to cure to get good and hard. That's probably all you'll need. Certainly a lot of work you put into that one, Greg, and certainly think that it will turn out well. Just give it some time, let it dry completely. And that's one of the podcast questions that we answer every week, and want you to send one to us, todayshomeowner.com/podcast. We would also really appreciate you writing us a favorable review. We hate to beg for reviews, but that's the way the podcast world works. So if you could take a little time to send us a review, we would certainly appreciate it. And certainly encourage you at any time to send us an email through our website, todayshomeowner.com/podcast, or you can call our hotline at any time, 1-800-946-4420. Joe and I certainly hope that you enjoyed this podcast, and certainly look forward to talking with you next week. We'll see you then.